Hello there, friends of the program. It's Tate Frazier, and it's officially that special time of the year where we go on a march through madness together for the 85th edition of the NCAA tournament. What makes March so special, you ask? Well, it's the unknown. It's the fact that this is basically Survivor on a basketball court on CBS without Jeff Probst. And no matter how much you prepare, you cannot predict this kind of chaos. And that is what we will be covering on this podcast, One Shining Podcast. All the madness, all the David versus Goliath personified. It's the best show in town. The ball is tipped, and here you are with us. Come listen and join us wherever you get your podcasts.
What's poppin'? Real ones. Logan Murdock here. Raja Bell there. Howard Beck in the motherfucking cut. Cliff on the boards. Victoria on the video. We're going to talk some Nuggets and play a little game of who's down bad the most. That's going to be in the second segment. But first, I was really down bad last night, y'all. Specifically in the pregame presser at Chase Center when Mike Malone, an hour before one of the most anticipated games in a while, relays the news to the local media that neither Jamal Murray nor Nikola Jokic will be playing in this game against the Warriors. It was a tough scene because you were getting word like pregame that Nikola was probably not going to play, and neither was Jamal Murray. And I couldn't believe it because I was just like, man, the NBA allegedly cracks down on sorts of things, right? And there's no way, the Nuggets are tied for second place in the Western Conference, right? There's no way that this is going to go down. There's two teams fighting for playoff position. And I was just really upset with this circumstances. I get Joker is injured, but he's played over the last few games. Same with Jamal Murray. Howard, didn't they legislate this type of shit out of the game, allegedly? What the hell? Why were we... And I texted you last night, like, yo, man, it's bad. The league is cooked. And you and your East Coast bias was like, well, shit, I ain't watching. So, I'm sure you weren't... Okay, well, you said something along the lines of that. The game got a lot less vibey, in your words. What the fuck, Howard?
Great question. What the fuck? I don't know how to answer that. Other than this, yeah, it was really deflating. I was excited for that game too. Planned on staying up and everything. I did stay up anyway. When watched the Warriors gag it away, a night that they should have absolutely won. Great for the Nuggets, winning without their two most important players. I get it. It's mid-March, late March. Coaches are now thinking about being fresh for the playoffs. The Nuggets aren't locked in terms of standings, seedings, but they clearly are not concerned about slipping too far. They're not concerned about anything. They're fine. They're going to be somewhere in the top four. They're fine. And I get all that. And to your question, Logan, about the league's policies, yeah, they've legislated all kinds of things, but they haven't been able to legislate out resting, period. There's combinations where you can't rest multiple stars, but Jamal Murray doesn't even qualify as a star because he never makes All-Star or All-NBA. So it was only one star that they rested. And there's the Lauri Markkanen, situation a week ago where the Jazz get fined for resting him, but that's because A, he does qualify as a star under the player participation policy, and B, it was clearly that they're tanking. The Nuggets aren't tanking. The Nuggets are just strategically resting. There's nothing that I'm aware of to actually eliminate this particular circumstance. And we're just stuck with this. But the shitty thing is for fans and for the league, frankly, because this is a problem for them perception-wise, image-wise. On any given night in March, you got a bunch of teams that are pulling the plug on players because they're tanking and they're trying to just enhance their lottery odds. You've got contenders like the Nuggets who are resting their top players because they're resting for the playoffs. So whether it's resting for strategic purposes, resting for the playoffs, resting because you're trying to lose, there's just too many guys who should be playing who are the marquee names who are not. And it's not great. It's not great for your TV partners. It's not great for fans. It's not great for the sport. And the league has been grappling with versions of this for years, and it feels like they still haven't come up with enough solutions.
Is there a balance, Raja, for the fans getting what they want, the players being healthy as possible, and things like this not happening, right? Because this was a really like anticipated game, right? This was Jokic versus the Warriors down the stretch. This could be a potential playoff series, right? Like this was, they had. It's so funny when you have like Mike Breen stayed over with Doris and I'm not sure it was Doris, but Mike Breen stayed over and so was Richard Jefferson. Were calling the game, so the ABC had their number one team there, and it was clearly like something that the league wanted to showcase. Can we get a balance?
Yeah, you're gonna need someone smarter than me to come up with like the what type of legislation could be put in effect to actually balance it out and what's fair to everybody. I don't see a world where I could come up with that. You're always going to be in conflict with fans to some degree, with networks, with the quality of the product at this time of year when you're a team that has a roster that thinks it can win a championship but has a little bit of age on it, or has a bunch of miles on it, even if they're not old. They've been playing deep into the playoffs, and Nikola and some of those guys were in the Olympics, and that's a lot of basketball. I say this all the time. We've just been conditioned to watch people go out there and play 100 games a year. And the level is so high and it's so remarkable what they can physically do. You take for granted how difficult that is. And even the most conditioned bodies are going to break down at some point because that's just a lot of basketball. And no one's complaining. Like, people are paid great to do it. You understand the gig when you take the job. But the reality is that is a fact. And as soon as teams, started to realize that those miles were accumulating in a way that could be detrimental to winning a championship, then it becomes about protecting, their bottom line, which is making sure that they got the best chance to win a championship by ensuring that people are healthy. And that means resting them. They're going to fucking rest them. They're going to sit them down and make sure they're ready to go. And you heard Steve Kerr, even after the game last night, say, Steph's tired. And I would agree with that. I was with you guys in that I was fired up to watch the game, and as soon as I saw those jokers were out, I'm like, I'm not watching this shit. And so I taped it and I recorded it and watched it this morning. And I was looking specifically, having heard the comments from Steve last night, specifically at Steph, and trying to see like how he was moving and stuff like that. And it harkened me back to playing in a game at this time of year, watching him, like not level of player. This is just the way a body would feel rolling out in March, and just not having the juice that you need to have. Like, you're still going to be out there, and to the untrained eye, it might look pretty normal. But I was watching it, and I was like, oh, he really don't have the juice. Like, it's the legs, and he's trying, and they're all out there giving it what they got, but they just don't have the juice. And so, that's a lot of words to answer a really simple question. Like, I don't see a balance, because at the end of the day, it's too much of an investment made by these franchises in an effort to win championships and increase the valuation and X, Y, and Z, to not rest a dude when every analytic you have and every piece of sports science you have says he needs to rest, or his percent chance of injury increases exponentially.
Yeah, I mean, to your point about Steph, one, that was one of the worst games I've seen from him in like years. And he did look tired in those things. And second point to that is he's probably not going to play against Milwaukee tonight because of that, right? They got a back-to-back at Chase Center. It is I don't know if this is the dog days necessarily, because now there's so much more competition with the play-in, right? And you are expected to at least try. That's why the play-in is kind of put in place, because you want to get out of it. I mean, the Warriors, on one hand, I was in that Steve Kerr presser yesterday. On one hand, they don't want to go to the play-in and they're playing hard, but that means Steph has to play all back-to-backs. He's played since Jimmy's gotten into town. He's played every back-to-back thus far, and he's just turned 37 last week. And so it's going to be tough for them. I want to get back to the Nuggets, because I was curious about them coming into this game as a contender. And I was reading this story, or reading the Substack by Hardward Paroxysm, one of the really great writers in the NBA sphere. But he had a piece on his Substack called "The Worst Kind of Team" and how Denver fits that kind of description because of all the things that we have talked about, right? Where they've beaten up on this season, they've beaten up on a lot of the bad teams in the league. They have also, showed up in some games, but also like laid real big eggs in other games, and you can't really get a gauge on this team. They're on path for, I think, 53 wins this season, but then they also have like the curious win against the Lakers the other day, where the Lakers who had no bit.
Sorry.
What was that?
Bro, my phone just started talking. Holy cow, man! I was looking at.
Oh my god, yo!
Sorry.
Keep that in. I was in a bag with my monologue,
Wow.
and motherfuckers was like, yeah. Anyway,
I was looking up stats on my phone. Sorry, and some ad popped up.
It was all good, buddy. But no, like they're this team that you can't really get a gauge of, and I think I wanted to talk through and have that exercise here on the pod. Like, what do you guys think of the Nuggets, and do they deserve the benefit of the doubt? I'll start with Raja.
What do I think of the Nuggets? I mean, trying to remember what I said. I had the Nuggets in a subcategory, like a number 2 category. I think the last time we were on, didn't I? Isn't that where I had them, Logan? I didn't have them at the top, but I had them in a group of teams. When you have Jokic, you have Jamal Murray. They're playing well. What they can do to you offensively at times, if they're getting the support from the others, like Christian Brown's playing well and Michael Porter Jr. shooting it well. I mean, you saw Aaron Gordon given the opportunity to be kind of the primary offensively go off last night. So like in a perfect world offensively, but they're a really poor defensive team this year. They're below, I mean, what are they, 20th, 21st in the league? I was trying to look that up, but
20th.
But yeah, like they're just not a great defensive team. And that means you just have to be on every night in a way that when you see better teams in the NBA and what they're going to do to you schematically, I don't think it's realistic. So like, I think they are who they are. They're the team you just kind of described, right? Like they're going to beat, a lot of teams that they probably should beat on paper, but like, when you see that upper level or upper echelon team, I think it's going to be hard for them as a unit and the way they're playing this year.
Howard, what do you think of the Nuggets?
Defense has always been an issue for them. But a couple years ago when they won the championship, and that season they were 15th in defensive rating. So they were at least middle of the pack, and they were, if I recall correctly, they were improving down the stretch of that season. I just looked up the last 15 games for the Nuggets. So they're 20th overall this season. And if you do the last 15 games, they are even worse. They're like 23rd over the last 15 games. So they're not improving. They're actually getting slightly worse. That said, they're on pace for about 52 wins. They won 53 the year that they won the championship. Their net rating right now is plus 4.4 per 100. And they were at plus 3.3 per 100 the year that they won it all. But the league is better now, I think. Like the teams with the top net ratings are in double digits. And so that's Oklahoma and Cleveland, and Boston's right up there too. So like the Nuggets, even by net rating, which the stat guys will tell you is tells you a lot, even sometimes even more than the standings. Their net rating is good. It's solid, but it's well behind the top 3 teams. And it's a matter of like who you trust. And it's funny that we're having this conversation now, right? Like, do we trust the supporting cast? The supporting cast just beat the Warriors last night on the road without
Russell
Jokic
Westbrook
and Jamal Murray.
Just want to give credence. He went like 7 of 85, but he had a triple double. So he
did. He was like 5. He was like 5 for 18 for 14 with a triple double.
Bro, did you see, dog? There was a play down the stretch from Russ where I think Gary Payton was on him, and like, by the way, he was chucking for that last triple double for the triple double. That he was like chucking threes so he could get his 10 points for the triple double, right? But then he hits like 3 threes in the fourth, and then he's the guy in pickup right now, at least in that game, where and I can relate because I am definitely this guy as well. That you throw it up and they're like, "Yo, don't even worry, let him shoot, but he hits the shot at the right time to throw the game away. Russ had a lot of those shots last night. It was a quintessential late stage of his career Russell Westbrook game. Were you happy for Russ? Like, how did you feel watching this version of Russ at the game?
Listen,
last
a
night?
triple dub with a dub. Come on,
almost
man.
had a quadruple dub with the turnovers.
A triple dub? No, you ain't got to do that. Ain't no need for that. Like, ain't no need for that. You gotta come here with that bullshit. Triple dub with a dub. We gonna take that all day. Go ahead, Howard. Sorry, Howard. we got off.
No,
yes, I'm taking that all day.
Yeah, 5 for 18 for Westbrook with 7 turnovers. I mean, it's not exactly a stellar performance, but he hit some big shots late when the Warriors were trying to get back in this thing. He's having one of his better 3-point shooting seasons at 34%, but teams are still going to leave him alone. Like, this is the problem for them in the playoffs. Teams aren't going to guard Westbrook. A lot of times they're not going to guard Aaron Gordon either at the 3-point line.
It was like 3 air balls, by the way, by Westbrook in the second half alone.
Yeah. So I like I say, when we were Logan and I talking yesterday, like, what do we want to talk about tomorrow? The game hadn't happened yet, of course. And we're like, let's talk about the Nuggets and just kind of, where they're at and whatever. They're like 500 over the last month or hovering around that, like a game over. And it's an awkward day to be having this conversation. But yeah, I think, one game aside, and the Warriors were clearly gassed. Steph was clearly gassed. Great performance by the Nuggets, but I don't know that anybody in the league would look at that team and say, we really trust their supporting cast. And there's a reason that they're kind of...
Also adding to that, Howard, I do believe, like, it was jarring to see, like, pregame where the Warriors were, like, clearly up for this game. Like, they were, right? There's no bones about it. And then they got the news that Jokic was out and Jamal Murray was out, and they just came out flat. It was like the quintessential game where the stars are out, but they tend to play better. I mean, Roger, that's I feel like that's a phenomenon here.
It's definitely a thing, and I would just add to that, like, you on a night when you're not, like, you never know when the legs, like, you don't know when the legs aren't there until you hit the court, right? Mm-hmm. Like, you could tell sometimes in warm-ups, like, oh, like, man, it's just doesn't feel like, I don't feel great right now. And on nights like that, you need the adrenaline kick of playing in a big game. Because sometimes that adrenaline kick of playing, your arch nemesis or one of the better players in the NBA or better teams in the NBA, that'll get you going just enough to kind of find it in that way. But if you have a letdown on top of your legs not being there, like a letdown in emotion, like, oh, we're straight. Now we don't even have to really be locked in to beat these Joker. They don't have the Joker or like
what you did
at that point, it's a double negative.
I like what you did there.
Thank you.
Back to Howard. We keep interrupting him and throwing him back to him. Sorry about
no, not at all. I was checking with the league about Jokic. They didn't. So he was listed as an injury last night, not rest. So it may depend on what the Nuggets do next. If he's out, so it's unclear whether there's a violation of the player.
They have the Lakers on Wednesday. We'll see.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Well, speaking of the Lakers, you asked me the question, Logan, about about the balance. I mean, the Lakers are dealing. That's an overuse injury. What LeBron has going on in the groin it's an overuse injury. All that soft tissue, like that's what pops up when you've played as much basketball as you have. Even the most well-conditioned dudes have a point that they get to, and then you're going to sustain something like that. So, ask a Laker fan if they'd rather have LeBron on a national TV game against OKC right now, or they'd rather make sure he's healthy for the playoffs,
Victoria, what do you think? Are we you can put it in the chat, or what would you like to see? Half Laker fan, half Warriors fan. I don't even know that existed, but put that in the chat. But yeah, like, I do believe that it is a tough balance, man. Cause you want to see these games, but also, like, you want these teams, if you're on a team, you want them to be healthy for the playoffs, bro. You want LeBron James to be as healthy as possible at 40 years old to be healthy in your second round playoffs instead of a second night of a back-to-back. Damn, that was a bar. But let's go to the MVP race, Howard, because right after the Ringer published who should be the MVP, I think it was like 9-1 Jokic. I was on the Jokic end of the spectrum. Howard was the lone person that picked SGA, who's probably going to win the MVP. But ever since that list dropped, like SGA has been on a heater, and Jokic's teams are still like hovering around average. Where are we at in the MVP race at this point in your eyes?
Yeah, I mean, Bontemps' last straw poll a few weeks back, it was like 70% SGA and 30% Jokic in terms of like the way the first place votes broke down. Like it was looking like a landslide in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's favor. So yeah, I was pretty stunned when I was the only voter within our poll at the Ringer, outvoted 9-1. I don't listen. I don't know where this goes from here. I'll just say that the way that the Nuggets are playing right now is reminiscent of a couple of years ago where Jokic kind of lost momentum down the stretch to Embiid because the Sixers finished on a stronger kick and Embiid did as well. And the Nuggets and Jokic kind of, dragged themselves to the finish line. And, first impressions matter, last impressions matter, all impressions matter, the whole season matters. But there are times when an MVP race can turn based on how teams finish. And I do think whether it's Jokic being banged up right now or Jokic resting right now, the Nuggets being banged up, the Nuggets not winning as much, like all that's probably going to factor in a little bit. I think all the momentum was in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's favor anyway, based largely on not just the fact that he's been awesome, but like the record. Like as we sit here today, the Thunder now have a 12.5 game lead on the Nuggets. And, the Thunder are clearly going to, get past 60 wins. They're going to flirt with, they're going to be in the high 60s. They could even still potentially get to 70. And the Nuggets are going to be very good. They're going to hit 50 something, but the record matters. The record matters. The record has always mattered. The wins have always mattered. It's just a matter of how each voter calibrates how much the wins matter versus the individual stats. And I do think we're in an era where more people are weighing the individual part of this more, where it's becoming more of, for some people, I think what I would consider most outstanding player, MOP instead of MVP, because the V to me has always been about it has to contribute to incredible team success. And 50 plus wins is fine, but 60 plus wins is outstanding in this league. There's a major difference between being a 60 win team and a 50 win team. And when you've got an 11 game lead in the standings, as the Thunder do, I think that has to be in SGA's favor. It's not automatic. The record alone doesn't do it, but like the individual dominance has to be there. But SGA already has that. So to me, there's very little doubt. A lot can happen still in the 15 games left in the season. But yeah, when we did the poll last week on the Ringer, I was pulling the lever for SGA. Same as when Bontemps had his poll a couple weeks before that. Anything can change. I'm open to you got to be open-minded until the ballots are actually due. They're not even in our hands yet and won't be for another few weeks. But it does look like SGA's.
Hey, Howard, you down with MOP?
You know me.
That's surprising to me that 9-1.
9-1.
I was surprised too.
Yeah, I guess you said that, but like maybe it wasn't registered, but like that's really surprising to me. Like
well, to be fair, Raja, this came on in the weeks leading up. He turned in like Will Chamberlain again and just start.
It was like days after he had the 30-20-20 game.
Yeah, we were kind of like,
okay.
We were caught up in pressure. Rapture.
No, I got you. I got you. And look, he's been brilliant. I'm not taking anything away. Michael Pino was on we were having the conversation about him back then, but albeit that was a long time ago. And I don't remember exactly what I was saying about that, but I was like, yeah, man, like this is going to be a no-brainer type of deal. But Shai's just been so good. And they've been in big games, like on big stages, and he just keeps doing it. And that record, I'm with you, Howard. That's got to mean something, man. You talking about 50, 56 right now, wherever that winds up, unless they just fall apart down the stretch and he falls apart. Like I can't see him not getting that.
We'll see what happens. Let's take a quick break. Play a game called Which team is down bad the most? Tap in. And we are back. All right, let's talk through some teams. Let's talk turkey, as they say, on the back stretch of the season. I'm going to give you a set of 3 teams. We're going to talk through these 3 teams, and then I'm going to ask you guys which team is down bad the most. Let's start with the Phoenix Suns. I don't know if you guys saw the game on Sunday. Victoria apparently, to your point, Raja, saw that LeBron was out and was like, I ain't going to this game. She had an opportunity to go to Lakers Suns and was like, forget it. But the Suns looked bad. Budenholzer and Durant are still like chirping at each other on TV. Kevin don't even give a fuck anymore. He's like, I don't care. I'm gonna just, even when I'm mic'd, I'm just gonna talk. Just gonna just go in on my coach, and they're not backing down. It's pretty bad. Raja, what do you think about your Phoenix Suns right now going down the stretch?
What do I think about them?
Yeah, what do you think?
I mean, they're not good. They're a mess. It's been a mess. It's hard for me to. It's a really big kind of question. Like, and I'm trying to give a really big, broad answer, but like, there's something wrong there. Like, Ishbia and team have done a better job than old ownership. They've been great in terms of trying to get former players back and trying to have us around and trying to get us back in the community and stuff like that. And that's really the only capacity I know them in. And so I give them a lot of credit for that. And I'm always a fan. But there's something going on there that's just kind of dysfunctional right now. And like, obviously, some of the moves made with the roster and the situation that you're in with that and it not being productive, like that's one thing. But I mean, you've cycled through coaches. Like there's stuff going on there that's bigger than the roster that they have to get figured out, and then, the KD thing, I get it, man. Like he was right. Like when we saw it the first time, he's like, we care, we both care. You want people that care. Like this is what we do. And that's fair. And it's true. Like you get heated and that happens. Lord knows it's happened with me. But, I think when that's happening multiple times, like it doesn't have to be that they hate each other and he wants him fired or anything like that. But it does speak to like y'all clearly aren't on the same page and have a lot of disagreements, as to how things should be operating. And that is kind of rare, right? Like on good teams, you don't typically see that type of disconnect. But we as players, we kind of know what a coach wants in situations like that. Like we've been in so many games. Like, you know what I mean? Like, especially if we've had success, we kind of know what you want to do. And conversely, like a lot of times Mike don't have to ask Steve what he wants because he knows what he wants. And so I think there is something to their exchanges at times. It doesn't have to be a big blown out of proportion thing, but I do think when you take everything into account, I think it's just kind of messy there, man. Like, I don't know. Did I answer that? It's just a mess.
You did a good job, buddy. Yeah, pat yourself on the back. Good shit.
Yeah, no, I mean, they got a lot of stuff going on, dude.
I mean, I don't know. When I talk to people around the league, like it's very clear to me that the relationship between Budenholzer and Kevin is probably at the point of no return at this point. Like they're just at each other's necks a lot. I think at the backstretch of the season, like Kevin's wants the offense to be simplified at this point, right? Just so they can, get offense and get some, stuff going offensively and not have to play sets. And Budenholzer wants to continue to run, through, sets and complications of sets and stuff like that. And they're having a disconnect on that end. And in the Laker game, Budenholzer saw some defensive rotations that he didn't like and got on Kevin's head, and Kevin just, responded, right? But like, it's not the, I know there's the one side where Kevin is like, yo, we both love the game of basketball and we're going to figure it out. I think that's something that you say at a presser to get through it. But like, I don't even think they're at that stage right now. It's really like, it's really bad in Phoenix. Howard, is there like, I don't know I know what we would do at the end of this, but I feel like Matt Ishbia is just going to keep rolling the dice until like he craps all the way out, even though he is pretty much crapped out at this point. They should revamp this roster in the next few months, right? No matter what happens this season.
Everybody believes they're going to move Kevin Durant. Okay, cool, great. I don't know what you're getting for a 37-year-old Kevin Durant. He's still awesome. He's still worth a ton. There aren't that many teams, though, that are one Kevin Durant away, right? You're a rebuilding team's not trading for him. A kind of pseudo middle of the pack team isn't trading. Like, so you've got to find the team that needs him and has the actual assets that make sense in a trade and has the contract to match besides. So it's really not that easy to do.
Yo, man,
it's automatic.
Hold on. We're finding our guy Raja, dog. Jesus Christ.
That's
like
3 times, Roger. What
that's
the fuck
3 times, Raja. Put your phone on fucking silent, dog. Like,
the phone is on silent. The phone is on silent.
Turn the volume down, brother. You can turn the volume down, brother.
Or Cliff, just cut it out like you cut out all of Logan's fuck ups.
No, he doesn't.
Just do that. Like, I don't understand. Like, Logan's the only person that gets to cut that out when he fucks up. Everybody else got to have all their shit on the air.
No, just
you know what I'm saying, Howard. Like, don't buy into his bullshit, Howard.
I don't think we've ever had like multiple random just like interruptions from electronic devices in the course of
that was
That's
a
fair.
record,
That's first time for everything.
Oh man.
Go ahead, where we go.
That Virgo on Virgo crime is sick. Can't even flip you off because we're on video right now. Go ahead, Howard.
No, look, like I don't even know where the hell I was. Durant's gone. Fine. Great. That's not the question facing the Suns right now. The question is not whether to trade Kevin Durant. Everybody, I think, in the Suns, outside of the Suns, everybody knows they're going to trade Kevin Durant somewhere. We'll see what they get for him. That is not going to fix things because whatever you get for Durant, plus Booker and Beal and whoever else is left, is still not going to be that great of a team. In fact, you're probably going to be worse because whoever you're trading Durant for is not going to be better than Kevin Durant, even this stage of Kevin Durant. So the real question facing them is the one that they don't want to face and the one that Ishbia seems to have already ruled out in his interview with ESPN last week, where he basically said, like, we're never trading Devin Booker. Guess what? That's the actual decision you have to make because, and from both sides of this too, if you're trading Kevin Durant, and again, what you're getting back for him is not making you better probably. So you haven't moved the ball forward. You can't trade Bradley Beal because of the no trade clause and nobody wants his contract. So you're stuck there. You're keeping Booker. What else can you possibly do? You have no draft picks. You're very scant. Where else are you going to go? The answer to all of this is to trade Devin Booker. And the answer to all this is probably to trade Devin Booker to Houston, who has control of 2 of your first round picks, because that way you can tank. You can get your picks back, tank, get some good rotation
Howard,
players from
Howard, they
Houston.
Would still have Bradley Beal on the team. You don't think
they still will? But Logan,
you don't think they can get to the postseason? You think that's still a tanking team?
They're done. They're cooked. There is no version of the Suns where you just trade Kevin Durant, keep Booker and Beal, and are suddenly back in business next season. You might be a fringe playoff team. Maybe you're a play-in team. But what have we seen to suggest that Booker, Beal, plus non-Durant players is going to somehow make them a contender or even a decent playoff team? Like, this is so obvious, it's painful. And by the way, if it's obvious to us, then it's obvious to Devin Booker too. And when they do trade Kevin Durant, whatever they get back for him, I'm sure that, Devin Booker's been a great loyal soldier, just like Lillard was in Portland. Everybody's got their breaking point. I don't know why Devin Booker wouldn't look at the situation this summer after they traded Kevin Durant, look around and go, all right, what are we doing now? Where are we go? How are we getting back in the thick of things? It's time. To me, that is the logical conclusion. I'm not suggesting Devin Booker will do that. I'm not suggesting he should. It's Devin Booker's decision. It's his career. But I don't see why he would want to stay at this point, because once you've traded Durant, you're basically sunk anyway.
And you brought up Lillard. That's a great comp for what's going on right now with Booker. And I think when Lillard left Portland, there was this understanding of like, we couldn't figure it out. Like, we still love you here, but like, go on and prosper.
Yeah.
I feel like you need, if you're Phoenix Suns brass, you need to just like, if you love Devin Booker, let him go prosper, free him, and then he'll still be a Sun for life. It's okay, but do it right now while he's still young. That it's a no brainer.
Yeah,
there.
that's a fantasy world.
What's part of it? What
the part you talking about? Like I'm in agreement with Howard, but like that old, hey, we love him, we're gonna let him go while he's young and go do it somewhere else. That come on, yo.
I can't be positive.
No, I'm with you. Listen, it'd be really refreshing if some front offices out here were operating in that space, but like that shit ain't happening.
For sure. Respect. All right, let's go. Let's go to a team that we dog consistently on this program. Hi, Cliff. How you doing, buddy? The Philadelphia 76ers. How down bad are they, Raja Bell?
Where do we talk? I mean, listen, all that's wrapped up to me and Joel Embiid and what percentage of himself he can come back to be. So, like right now, I think they're down pretty bad. But, the Paul George thing hasn't worked out so far. Tyrese Maxey, I love Tyrese Maxey. I don't think he's a real number one, like as much as they tried to paint him as one for a while. Like, I don't think he's a real championship level number one, right? And so then it becomes about Joel Embiid, who at his best and at the height of his powers, is as good as anybody in the league, offensively, and it's just a force that creates a lot for everybody else out on the court, especially when he decides to like be big and act big. But what that looks like, I don't know. I don't know what exactly the injury is. I don't know, there comes a point with some of these guys and some of these bigs, especially where even coming back off of these injuries, you're penciling in a % decline in what they're going to be. And I don't know if you're at that point with him, Logan. So, I didn't like know the segment was coming, so I didn't prep in terms of like what picks they own of their own and like what there are in terms of cap flexibility and shit like that. But in terms of a roster and what your big three or your supposed big three looks like right now and will look like moving forward, knowing that it has to be the nucleus of success, like that doesn't look so good right now.
Howard, if the Sixers capture the flag, do they at least try to move like Embiid and or Paul George this offseason? How do they play that if they get the number one pick?
Well, they're doing a great job of tanking. They're doing a great job of preserving their pick. So their pick goes to the Thunder unless it's top 6. And right now, the Sixers are doing a phenomenal job. They just shut down Paul George. Embiid obviously already is out. Not saying either of those weren't justified, but they're pulling the plug on the guys they need to pull the plug on, and they're letting Quentin Grimes just go out and shoot every possession. And he's being great, by the way. One of the upsides for the Sixers right now is Quentin Grimes actually looks really good. They robbed the Mavericks blind. Speaking of a team that we're going to get to eventually here that has made just catastrophic error after catastrophic error. Not a Luka size error, but giving away Quentin Grimes was a mistake. So the Sixers, look, Embiid and Paul George are there. Let's not even talk about like potential like Embiid and Paul George trades. That's not happening. Their contracts are onerous. Their injury histories are concerning. The Embiid and Paul George are going to be Sixers for the rest of their careers, very likely. The upside for the Sixers is this. Nothing about Embiid's knee that anybody's aware of suggests that this is career ending or that this is going to be the end of him as a dominant player. He needs to get rested and healthy, and there are paths. If Embiid is even 90% of himself next season, Paul George then gets to be the supporting player that he's supposed to be and not trying to lead them without Joel Embiid. So Paul George is better as a third wheel than as a number one or co-number 2 with Maxey. Maxey falls into place. Now you've got, your 3 stars in place. Everybody loves Maxey. Like, no one's doubting his abilities. Jared McCain was a leading candidate for Rookie of the Year before he went down with an injury. So he comes back healthy. If they can re-sign Grimes, and now they potentially have a top 6 pick, like, they're in pretty good shape. That top 6 pick, by the way, maybe they're not actually using it, depending on where it falls. But maybe they're flipping that for more immediate help because you've got a window here still with Joel Embiid. And I know people might be snickering already, like a window to do what? Like they're done. I get it. I get it. I'm not going to try to talk anybody out of the stance that the Sixers might already be done, that the era is over, that they're never getting anywhere with Embiid. Joel Embiid was MVP of the league just like 2 years ago. And that knee injury last season, he was actually having a better year than he did his MVP year. The knee injury, ever since then, things have been rough. But there is still a world here where Embiid gets the knee right, comes back next season, and the Sixers are right back in the thick of things. I'm not predicting championships. I'm not predicting the finals. But a healthy season from their big three, plus whatever they get in the draft or whatever they parlay that pick into, plus a couple of good young players that they already have under contract, they're going to be fine. Like I'm not championships. I don't know, but they're going to be fine. This is not the verge of a teardown. This is by far not the bleakest situation in the league because we haven't even gotten to that team.
I would agree with that though. I would agree. Like if you're telling me he's coming back healthy and he's back to form, like because again, when he's playing his best basketball, like they're very few in the NBA that can do the type of stuff he does and just have that type of presence that to your point lets everybody else do what they're supposed to be doing. Howard, not terrible. I mean, if you can't, I don't know that definitively. So.
Yeah, the biggest problem is we don't know whether Embiid and Paul George will look close to themselves again next season or ever again, right? And the downside here, their worst case scenario is really bad because their worst case scenario is neither of those guys ever plays a full season again. Embiid never gets his dominance back again, and they're stuck with two really bad contracts. Like that's on the table. That's possible, but we're not there yet.
You ready for this, Howard? You ready for it to get sad?
Do it. Ready for Raja to get sad and uncomfortable.
Raja's in Florida. He is fine. He's about to go out to the beach after this. Ain't no sadness. Ain't no. There's a pep.
What's gonna make me sad? What are we talking about?
Yeah. The Dallas Mavericks, but like who cares?
Listen, I'd have told this story. I asked the Mavs for $1 over the minimum. They told me no.
I just know it pains you to have to talk about. I like Nico. You have to talk about Nico.
Nico is my dude.
You
but make no mistakes.
Like, let me get $1. And they was like, fuck out of my face.
Nah. It's all right. Fair enough.
With the luxury tax, was that $1 going to cost them $3?
Fair enough.
No,
pre-luxury tax. I mean, I wish I could say that. I wish I could.
But anyway, $1 in the meeting. Like, here, buddy. I got you.
It's like, damn, Mark, come on, man. A brother ain't never played for more than the minimum, dog. Just let me say I'm playing for more than the minimum. Like, nah.
You just did it for ego. He was like, nah, fam.
Yeah, no, this is real talk. This was just like a point in my career. Can I please play for more than the minimum? Nope. That's all right.
How down? Who's more down bad? Raja in 05 with that, or the Dallas Mavericks right now?
Oh, man.
The Mavericks are down much badder, more bad. Raja wasn't over. Look, so we were asked this question by editors on theringer.com this morning. There was a small roundtable. Logan did not participate. Logan had bigger. With a great story on Jimmy Butler that people should all check out on ringer.com. But we were asked to choose like who's in the worst shape right now, Phoenix, Dallas, or Philly. And I think 4 out of 5 of us went with Dallas, and the other one went Phoenix. So Philly off the hook this morning on the ringer.com. It's Dallas. Like Dallas has the bleakest future right now because Kyrie's out with that ACL. By the time he comes back next season, let's say he does come back next season, as Raja was talking about when we talked about this a week ago. He's about to turn 33. I think it's this week, Raja. So a year from now, Kyrie's been back from the ACL maybe by a few weeks, a month, couple of months, whatever, but he's turning 34 post ACL this time next year. And Anthony Davis is Anthony Davis and 32, 33 and always injured. They have like they have control of, I think, 2 first-round picks in the next 7 drafts. So not a lot to work with there. And there's just not a lot of flexibility here. And you don't even have a true number one because Kyrie and AD are both kind of like co-number ones or 1Bs, or whatever they are. And the window is really small. And there's no obvious pivot here unless, and by the way, Kyrie's in a position this summer to be asking for an extension. And if they give it to him, they're just going to lock themselves in that much further. Anthony Davis, I think, might even be doing an extension. So where are you going with two guys in their early to mid 30s who are often injured, who are not true number ones, and without a lot of draft capital? They're just locked in, and I just don't see where their route out of this is. I wouldn't want to be Phoenix either, but Phoenix can at least trade Durant and Devin Booker and get a shit ton of stuff. You can't trade Kyrie and AD and get a shit ton. You can't. Like Kyrie's trade value was minimal when they got him. It's better now than it was then in terms of his playing and his steadiness. He's been a better citizen and a better teammate, but now he's coming off of an ACL. And again, turning 34 a year from now. So I just don't see Dallas's way out of this. I think they, of those three teams and of any of the 30 in the league, they've got the bleakest outlook.
I really do think that they could be the worst team in the league next year and like perpetually the worst team in the league over the next decade. Like, and I say that because, I mean, one, that's how big of a decision it is to trade Luka at the time that you trade him, right? But also, nothing tells me about their leadership that they know basketball and know how to build any sort of contending team. I know Nico has, but all that trust that you have for him to build a team has been completely eroded. So, like, I could see this team, like, the punchline that we've been given, like the Wizards, the punchline that the Hornets have been, like, I see this going down a really bad downward spiral, Raja. Like, it could get really, really bad. Am I far off on that, or is that in play?
I mean, it's in play. Time will tell. But yeah, for all the reasons, Howard just talked about, like you're in a tough spot. Like you're riding with Kyrie and there's a world where he doesn't have the ACL, where I'm going to try to convince myself that this can get figured out. But even, like when I was talking about him being back, like acknowledging like you're not going to be yourself at that point, even if you're able to come back, right? And you are 34 years old. And so what that looks like for next season, now we're talking about turning 35 the next season when you're all the way back. Like there are a lot of reasons why the situation doesn't look good. You can't get much for either one of them. And you're right, Logan. Like, look, I a really good friend of mine, I've talked about before, is that he's a season ticket holder in Dallas. He sits right there on the court side. Like he's very, very close to the franchise. And I talk to him about the Mavs all the time. And like he's the one that'll send me shit. Like, you believe they're bumping our ticket prices up and this X, Y, and Z. And he's just not enamored with the ownership group there or anything that they've done. And he's very disappointed in where the franchise is at. And so is it in play? Yeah, it's absolutely in play. And it's unfortunate. Like Nico's my guy. Like I've known him a long time and I'm fond of Nico, but yeah, he's got them in a really tough spot right now. Whoever at face value, like we can have the argument about the trade and what you should have got for it, and we could do all of that. Like I think we all agree that for Luka, you should have gotten a lot more. But the way this has played out and the situation they're sitting in right now, they're in a world of hurt, man.
It is a world of hurt, as you say. They were pre-trade deadline. They were 4 games above 500 before they made that deal for to trade Luka Doncic. They are now 33-36 in a free fall. And Nico Harrison said he made this deal to win now. They probably won't make the playoffs this season, or the play-in for that matter, right? Like it's looking pretty grim right now. I think they're a game out of the play-in race. If I have that correctly, where are they at right now? Let me see.
They do own their pick, so there's that. And they're slotted 13th right now in the draft.
Let's get lean, baby.
Let's do it. Let's get lean,
baby.
You know what I mean? Capture the flag.
How low can you go? This is a limbo right now, bro. How low can you go?
Oh my goodness. It's I was gonna ask the question, who's the most down bad the most, but I think we already answered it. It's the Mavericks. It's gonna be the Mavericks for a very, very long time. Let's go to the mailbag. Hello, Cliff. How do you feel, buddy? How you doing?
What's good, man? It's good to know that there's a team that's more down bad than the Sixers. Shout out to Quentin Grimes, though. He's starting to freak me out a little bit. I mean, he got to chill out.
You're like, no, we got a pick to protect. Relax, relax.
Howard, even worse, I thought he was going to win the game. I was terrified last night, man. I was terrified. But let's get to the real part of the pod that everybody wants to hear. Let's start out with Robert. Mikal Bridges trade worse than Luka Doncic deal. Hi.
Jesus.
Hi. I have been
Calm down.
I have been wondering all year why the scrutiny of Mikal Bridges' deal has been so minimal. The Knicks traded 5 first-rounders and an unprotected pick swap in 2028 for a guy who couldn't average 20 on a horrible Nets team last season and who is now averaging less than 18, with 3 boards and 3 assists a game. The Knicks could have just looked at every other deal like this, KD trades, Paul George trade to Clippers, or the KG and Paul Pierce trade to the Nets, to know this is way too much to give up, even for actual all-stars. As much as the Mavs have been destroyed for the Luka deal, at least they got an all-NBA caliber player for him. You may not agree with the logic, but at least there's some rationale. Gutting your whole future to go from second to third place in the Eastern Conference and to look further away from a title seems like it should be more frowned upon. Thanks, Bobby P.
Good Lord.
Bobby Portis?
Robert Paul. His name is Robert Paulson. Bobby Portis. When is Bobby coming back?
Oh, no.
Oh my. Can I handle this?
Go ahead, Nikola. You got it.
Bobby. My guy. Chill, dude. Seriously. Holy crap. First of all, nothing this year, last year, the last 10 years, the last 70 years has been worse than the Luka Doncic trade. It is quite likely the worst trade in NBA history. So let's not put Mikal Bridges in that category. They gave up a lot of draft capital. They probably gave up too much. And I think even at the time it felt excessive. But the Knicks' problem is not offense. First of all, the Knicks have been a really good offensive team. The problem is defense, which again, you got Mikal Bridges in part because you wanted his defense. And it's fair to scrutinize him along with everybody else. They've not quite had the season that they hoped for. But there's a lot of different factors going into that. And I've said many times, the biggest thing that happened last summer wasn't getting Bridges and Towns. It was who they lost, and specifically Hartenstein. And then on top of that, having Mitchell Robinson out for the first 4 months of this season, they just didn't have enough size. They didn't have rim protection. So their issues are like whatever's happening to them this season that might be a disappointment to Knicks fans is not because they got Mikal Bridges. Whether they might eventually regret trading as much draft capital as they did for him is a fair question because it does limit other moves you can make. But also just note, since Brunson went down, Bridges is balling, and Bridges is like he's doing what I thought he could do for them when they got him in the first place, which is become this like, Raja, did you just do it again? No? Hey, what did I just hear?
That's the grand slam, baby. Oh. Damn.
Look, okay, you got me all jumping.
I just want to say for the record, that's 4 fuck-ups for Raja and 3 for Logan. Okay, he broke the tiebreaker just now. Just want everybody to know that.
Go ahead. On this. Mikal Bridges, last 5 games for the Knicks, by the way, averaging 23 points, 4.5 assists, and 3.5 rebounds. Shooting well from the floor, 63% from the field, 47% on threes. Like, Bridges is doing what you need him to do with Jalen Brunson out. And I thought this was the way that they might use him all season, and I've been surprised that they weren't, where Bridges can be your secondary or third playmaker, a guy who can run the offense at times, who can handle the ball. We saw it in Phoenix when he was their third or fourth wheel with Booker, Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton. And we saw a little bit of it when Mikal Bridges was with the Nets. And the Nets just didn't have enough talent around him. And I don't think he's a number one, and you can't build around Mikal Bridges. But as the third, fourth guy, which with the Knicks, that's his role, there's plenty he can do. I think that, he hasn't had enough latitude and had the ball in his hands enough to do it. But we're seeing it right now. Like, they're surviving pretty well. They've won 3 out of 5, I think, since Brunson went down. And a lot of that's Bridges, including that game-winning shot. So, whatever happens with the Knicks this season, I don't think the Bridges trade is going to be the definitive factor.
Chill out. Next question, Cliff.
Next question. This is from Hannah Brown. Headline: No end in sight for the Bulls. Hey guys, been listening to y'all for a while now, but finally getting around to asking a big question that's been on my mind for years. Are the Bulls perpetually stuck as a franchise while the Reinsdorfs are still around? I'm sick of riding the coattails of 6 championships from 30 years ago and the owners being okay with mediocrity. We seem to always be in a state of rebuild from the end of MJ to D Rose, then Jimmy Butler and beyond. Is there any hope for us going forward? Be honest, no mercy. Signed, Hannah, just another sad Bulls fan. P.S. Thanks for keeping me sane at work twice a week.
Less.
Shout out, Hannah.
Shout out, Hannah. They're down bad. We're going to give this to Howard, huh? What do you think, Raja? I'm going to give this to Howard. Let him go.
Take it away.
Let him cook.
How many rants you want in one day from me?
All of them. We believe in you.
The Bulls have been one of the most unimaginative, least ambitious, most frustrating franchises in the league for at least the last 5 years, right? I think that's fair to say. They seem their goal seems to perpetually be like, let's chase the 8th seed, or at least the 8th seed back when we had 8 guaranteed playoff seeds. Now it's let's just chase a play-in spot. Like they started to tear down finally, belatedly. Finally got rid of DeRozan and Zach LaVine, who now are both weirdly with the Sacramento Kings. That's a whole other issue to itself. But Vooch is still there. They still haven't really. They've kind of picked a direction. They decided to finally break up their mediocre core, but it's not clear what it's all leading to. So I don't know. The bigger issue of whether this is just who they are under this ownership. I mean, look, it's the same ownership where they also won 6 championships back in the 90s. That's ancient history. I get it. But I don't know if this is about ownership or if this is just about the front office, if it's about a combination of the two. But they certainly seem like they have been just mired in mediocrity almost by design. And that's a terrible place to be in the NBA.
I'm just mad because this question made me look at the Eastern Conference play-in race and yuck. Absolutely nasty, dog. Chicago Bulls and Miami Heat are tied for the 9th seed with a record of 29-39. Ugh. Let's do
10
one more
games
question.
under 500.
Let's do one more question and see.
Brutal.
I don't know, man. Let's do one more question. That was brutal. Sorry, Hannah. I don't know what to say.
All right, last question. It's funny because ironically last week somebody asked about SGA getting calls. So this emailer here, Doug Beck. Love
Doug
the
Beck,
pod.
huh?
No relation.
Sure. Love the pod. Why doesn't he get more calls? He drives so much. Oh, this is about SGA.
God.
Sorry. He drives so much that he does not
God.
get rewarded like other stars do.
Oh
Is
my
it because he
stop.
doesn't throw tantrums for flops?
Stop. I don't want to hear the rest of this question. Stop. This is ridiculous, bro. What do you want him to have? 30 free throws a game? Like,
I mean,
what are we
if
doing?
If he earns them, I guess you're supposed to have 30, all right?
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you
man.
can't be. Come on, we can't be crying. We can't be crying for SGA getting to the free throw line. We can't.
He's
leading
leading the league in free throws.
we can't come.
What
on
do you
and do
need?
that.
What do you want? More do you want? Do you want him? Do you want the game to just be like, oh, hey, we're going to go see the Thunder game? It's just no one else on the court. It's just fucking SGA shooting free throws.
Yeah, that's we can't. We're not going to argue that. I will just say this real quick, and I don't mean to, but I was watching the game the other night, and they caught Luka with a mic. Like as he was coming down the court. Usually you can only lip read kind of what he's saying to officials, but the mic caught what he was yelling at this dude, bro. He says some wild, if you ever watch that dude, man, like, and I'm sure he's not the only one. And he might get a lot of texts, and it might be the reason he doesn't get the kind of treatment that his fans think he should get, but he says some wild stuff to referees.
Bro. Are y'all cognizant that there are mics around the court, Raja? Like when y'all be
well, there weren't nearly as many when I played, right? But like, yeah, I mean, we knew about the cameras. That's why you see when anybody's over there on the bench or when people are having conversations, they have their hand over their mouth back in the day, right? So because we knew that, but the mics, you were rarely caught on mic, but he had to be running right by like the scorer's table or maybe by like the broadcast table in this game. I forget who they were playing against, and he had just something that happened. It was one of those like. Man, he didn't get fouled, but like he wanted the foul. Oh, bro, he mother effed that dude all the way.
I think there's also with social media, like everything that happens that's even interesting on the court, that wise, it's getting picked up. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's the other thing. Let's do one more because that was. Oh, sorry. Rob.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's go.
No, we're on video now. They saw you. They saw it. They saw you. They saw what you said. Cliff, let's do one more question for Raja Bell.
Or this is for Raja Bell specifically, actually.
You gave me it. You gave it to me.
So this is from Aaron Anderson. The email line is Raja's take on Mo Cheeks' national anthem. Hi, everyone's crew. Big fan. You're all the best NBA podcasts out there. Thanks for doing your thing. I'm a Blazers fan, and touching moment from our history back in the day was in 2003 when the girl singing the national anthem forgot the words, and Blazers coach Mo Cheeks went up to help her finish the song and get everyone, including players and coaches, to sing along. Turns out that was against Raja's Mavs. Does Raja have any memories about that moment? This came to mind because Cheeks and Knicks were in town, and they had the woman, Natalie Zito, sing the anthem 23 years later and meet with him. And she sent links to the video, and then Raja's face was on it and whatnot. So, yeah, you were there.
Aren't you happy? Raja? Aren't you happy that we did an extra question?
Man, sit your ass down somewhere, boy. Yes, dog. That was actually an incredible moment. I do remember that, man. Like that was it was heartbreaking. Like, and you just felt helpless. Like I don't even feel like I could go over to her. I'm sure a lot of people wanted to like go over and give her a hug and help her, but Mo Cheeks was the only one that put that into action, man. And like, you know, especially having kids now, like, you know, I don't know what age she was then. Pretty cool that she got to come back out and do it again as, you know, as an adult. But at the time, I remember her being an adolescent. Like, I don't know if she was like 13, 14, 15 or something like that.
I think she was like 12 or 13.
Yeah, man. Like how lonely she must have felt out there. How her parents were probably feeling because they couldn't do anything either. Like watching her go out there and just not execute something that she clearly executed all the time. Like that had to be heartbreaking. And Mo was a champion, dog. And I had like Mo was with the Blazers, but I had Mo in Philly, I think. Had I had Mo in Philly? I thought I had.
Was he a coach or an assistant in Philly when you were there, bro?
Yeah. So like I knew it. Like it was just that was big time. Yeah, I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did. And I'm actually excited to hear that she was back out there and she got to do it and, you know, all this time later again. So like that's pretty cool.
I saw Mo Cheeks a few days ago when the Knicks were in town pregame, and he did a full sprint on the court, and everybody was
Mo still doing it like that?
Mo still doing it like that, bro.
God bless you, Mo.
Yeah, he got that 5.6 40 speed. Locked in.
Hey, 5.6 40, bro. If I could run that right now.
Bro, I read a 4.9 once in high school, and I felt like the shit. I was like, yeah. I was like, let's fucking go.
There you go.
My nickname in high school was Slogan. But that is the program. Shout out to Ross, shout out to Cliff, shout out to Howard, shout out to Victoria. That is a Tuesday Vibes edition. We will see you guys on Friday. All the shits. Charles, my evil twin. Show me my evil twin. Real ones. Talk to y'all soon. Bye.